Portugal 23, 1 Switzerland. Actual score 6-1.
Yeah, I think I wandered off at one point and it had gone up to by another goal. And normally you expect a bit of a whoop when a goal goes in, but it was so routine by that point. There was no whoop.
It's good that I noticed you walked away because we were relying on you
for a glass of water. Yeah,
for the analysis. Because
Ramos. What about?
So it's only 5-1 as far as Joey's concerned.
Yeah,
so we
exactly.
have to forget that goal. Yeah.
Well, obviously, I mean that's a huge result for Portugal. They go through to the quarterfinals now. I don't think anyone really expected this result. But the big news, we can start with it because it's probably the overarching kind of story for it, John, is that Ronaldo was dropped for the game. Was it disciplinary reasons? Was it because he's not as good anymore?
I believe it was for disciplinary reasons, but I'm not entirely sure of the details of those. So.
Yeah, don't think anyone knows. It's a bit of both, it seems like.
Yeah.
Whoever you want to look at it, they took him out and they immediately scored more goals than anyone else in the World Cup so far. And his replacement, Gonzalo Ramos, scored a hat-trick. The youngest player to score a hat-trick for 60 years in the World Cup. Wow. It's quite good, isn't it? So, John, are Portugal better without Ronaldo in the team?
I think yes is the answer to that question. I don't think it's hugely controversial though that a player who's he's the same age as me, isn't he? So 37. He's just about to probably sign a contract in Saudi Arabia. That guy is not the best player in the world anymore. Is not a huge news story, I don't think. But we've been talking about this topic a lot in the last couple of seasons or so. Because obviously it's not only about the decline and fall of Cristiano Ronaldo, it's also about how do you solve a problem like Manchester United, and these debates have raged on and on and on. But it was just really interesting for me tonight watching Portugal with an actual presence in the 9 slot. And we talk a lot about how you expect your number 9s to do various things. And we just saw a lot of that from Ramos, a player I've not really seen too much of, but really enjoyed watching tonight. So obviously gets a hat-trick and gets a hat-trick of different goals as well. So you have the first goal, so he picks the ball up, just a pass through into the box, takes it past the defender, swivels, and then clacks it into the top corner.
So one of the near post that he absolutely thumps in, that was some goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that one of those angles where you see it kind of, it was the reverse of the thing where it goes out and you think it might be in. It was like, I thought it had gone out because it was such a crazy angle, and then I saw they had actually scored it.
So already sort of get the ball quick out of your feet and then get the shot away and score in that way. Then obviously there was the Dalot ball in from wide angle, plays it to the front post, and Ramos is running, gets in front of his defender and plays it into the bottom corner. So another sort of nice movement goal. So what you're wanting your 9 to do, and then the final one, just a through ball that he runs onto and then dinks it over the goalkeeper into the goal. So 3 goals that you want your number 9 to be at least generating those sorts of chances, but scoring them is even better. So yeah, it just made a huge difference to the way that Portugal were playing. Obviously that we could talk about the off-ball stuff as well, but we know that there's been questions about Cristiano Ronaldo's pressing, and again, having a younger, fitter player in that central spot for your press is really important too. So in every area, he made a big difference.
I mean, I'm not saying that his legs are gone, but sometimes I notice
it was that pass at the end that he didn't quite run onto.
Yes, well, that's the thing. Everyone, if you're not of mid-30s age, what you'll... it's still in my 30s. What you'll have noticed at some point is that you're not as fast as you once were. It just happens all of a sudden. Switzerland, correct me if I'm wrong, John, are one of the better defensive sides that are in the tournament. They're not very exciting really to watch, but they tend to be able to lock things down and get through. But then what did Portugal do? They managed to... What did they do?
Well, it was an interesting game because ahead of this game, Murat Yakin, the Switzerland man, sorry, miles away from my mic, I'm not able to move my chair around. The Switzerland manager changed up the system that they were playing. They'd been playing a sort of 4-2-3-1 system before this, but they came out in something closer to a 5-2-1-2 as I've got it on the board in front of me. And it's sort of hard to know exactly why they came out in this system, because I think it does match up very nicely to what Portugal's shape has been this tournament. So you've got a centre back who can mark the striker, and then you've got 2 sort of wide players either side of them, but they play quite narrow, so that matches up to the front 3. You've got a number 10, so you've got a player who can drop on there, 2 8s as well, so you're mirroring pretty much everywhere here.
And the system wouldn't change with Ronaldo in or out. So like when they thought he might not be in the team, Ramos would be taking up the same sort of positions from the defensive line, wouldn't he? And attacking as well.
I think so, yeah. And I mean, the other thing that Portugal have been doing is they've been playing a 4-4-2 diamond shape. So again, quite narrow, but they may have been thinking of using that kind of shape if they brought Ronaldo in from the start. But they have been playing this pretty much through the tournament. And everyone will say, there's a lot of fluidity in these four players here. So Otavio, not so much the 9 maybe, but then the 2 wide players. So any of these players can really interchange if you want. So Felix can play as a 10. Otavio can push out to the left-hand side. Fernandes sometimes comes into the middle as well. So you might see Otavio over on the right as well. But lots of fluidity there. And I think that's where this sort of system that Switzerland were playing starts to break down, because not only do you have this, the thing for me is this massive gap in between the fullbacks and the wing backs for either side. So on the one hand, this means that in possession, Portugal can push, if they want, push their fullbacks really high up without really losing anything. But the other thing is that if they are in possession and they sit deeper, then that's going to pull these wing backs further up the field and then generate space in wider areas, in the fullback areas for Portugal to expand into and stuff. So it wouldn't be surprising to see Felix here just pushing out wide. A little bit of fluidity of movement here, and before you know it, you've got the ball in a wide area, you can get the ball into the box, no problem. And it felt as though this sort of thing was happening quite regularly in the game. It felt as though the flexibility of the Portuguese players was able to just find spaces in that particularly back 3 area, and it just felt as though Portugal were constantly causing problems to the Swiss back line because of that. So I don't really understand why Yakin went with that approach, and obviously as the game went on and it started getting further and further out of the Swiss hands, they switched back to a sort of 4-4-2, 4-4-2-3-1 shape, and they had a lot more success with that. But by that point, the game had gone. So
do you think he was chasing it, or was he maybe at some point going, let's just stop this and get everyone a go?
Yeah, I don't know, because obviously we went into this game thinking it was going to be a really low-scoring affair.
I thought it'd be 0-0.
Yeah, exactly. None of us thought that there was going to be a lot of goals. So it could potentially have just been a way of thinking, well, at least we can keep them pegged, but it just didn't work. And I think the issue then was, as soon as it didn't work, it took Yakin far too long to switch things back to a system that had functioned for them. And by that point, they were already 4 goals down pretty much.
Did anyone else stand out for you in that Portugal side today? Are they going to play a similar system, you think, in the next game? Will Ronaldo start the next game, basically?
Surely not, you'd think. It would be hard for them to...
You'd think it'd be hard to play him now, wouldn't you?
But I've been really impressed. I was really impressed with the way they played today, but I've been really impressed with their forward players anyway. So Joao Felix, obviously, a lot better in the international game because he's not having to play under the relentless yoke of Diego Simeone. But even Otavio, I mean, the great thing about this game is that just the World Cup is all about just average punters coming up against players they've never seen before and then being like, oh, this guy's great. And I've not really watched much of Gonçalo Ramos either, or Otavio as well, who's also playing in Portugal. And I've just been really impressed with both of them. We all know about Joao Felix. We all know about Bruno Fernandes. But I love just having a game this high profile and being like, oh, great. This is a player that I've not really seen much of, and you get to see them playing and everyone discovering them at the same time.
It's something different to watching like a Champions League game, isn't it? Because it feels more, I don't know.
If you liked today's video, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you did like it, you might be interested in How to Watch Football, Tifo's illustrated book. It's 52 rules for understanding the beautiful game on and off the pitch, and it is the perfect holiday gift. How to Watch Football is out now in stores and online. See the link in the description to find out more, and thank you for watching today's video.